guys! I'm here to talk to you today about Kresley Cole's Arcana Rising, which, if you saw my top 5 love triangles that don't suck video, was a book I was really excited to read. I admit to being very caught up in the love triangle that has been set up in these books, and that's not something that usually happens to me. So again, before I get into this, totally respect how Kresley Cole has managed to create a love triangle where both of the men currently fighting for this one chick have their good qualities and their bad qualities, and I could actually see her with both of them. I believe that she can see herself with both of them, and I'm actually not necessarily sure which team I'd like to be on. I thought that I knew after the last book, but I'm trying to decide if the events of Arcana Rising make me angry because of the way that they're written, or actually change my opinion. But anyway, I didn't dislike this book. It's a 3-star book for me. It was fast-paced, it was interesting, there were definitely good parts to it. It really does bring out a lot of very interesting things for characters that I thought that we had already explored to the max. But let me back up. Arcana Rising is book 4 in the Arcana Chronicles. Evie is our main character, and she is a reincarnation of a tarot card. She's called the Poison Princess at some point, but is actually the Empress tarot card. After a major apocalypse has wiped out most of the planet's population, the people remaining, some of them are reincarnation of tarot cards with specific abilities, and they're playing a game. And the game is to be the last tarot card standing and acquire like everybody else's powers by killing them. And Evie is trying to change the game by creating an alliance, stopping the bad guys, but you know, she doesn't want to kill her friends because unlike Empress of the past, she's actually has a good and moral heart. I have my issues with Evie's character. I think that she can be really annoying at times, but I also really appreciate the struggle between her and her Red Witch side, which is what she calls the evil side of her powers. And I think that in this book as well really got developed into and very interesting. I think Evie finally had that crack happen, and this obviously contains spoilers for the last 3 books. I'm not going to even try, because at the end of the last book, the Emperor kills Selena and Jack, which is one of the boys in this love triangle, the other being Arik, or Death. Jack is not a tarot card, although I have my suspicions about that. Arik is the Death card, so he's like the bad guy in the first couple of books and then was really made into a character I actually really like, which is part of what I love about the series. But anyway, Evie cracks, obviously, when she thinks that Jack is dead, and she just goes nuts. And I really loved that. I loved that the line between Evie and the Red Witch really got blurred for a good solid portion of the book, and really explored how tenuous that line is, how much she has to work to hold on to the humanity that she has left. And then we finally do get to meet her grandmother, who's been talked about for most of this series, because Arik in the last book found Evie's grandmother and brought her to his castle. So we finally get to meet her. She is crazy. And you see this another really complicated relationship of Evie and her grandmother, just with her grandmother being like, you gotta kill them all, and Evie being Evie and being like, that is not something I'm comfortable with, but still wanted to connect with her grandmother. So again, solid emotional things. Matt comes back, which is super awesome. The Fool is not a very good name for Matt. He comes back with a vengeance, let me tell you, and that was really exciting. I loved his character deepening because there's a lot of really powerful things that are done with his character. Here's the thing that you might expect with Jack dying in the last book. And it's that Evie immediately rebounds back to Arik. And there is a sincere attempt made to have her process the way that she's feeling, but it just had to happen because when you set up a love triangle, obviously one of the consistent conflicts throughout the rest of the series is who she gonna choose, and you won't know until the last book. It's just a convention. So when Evie chose Jack at the end of the last book, you knew that something had to happen that would push her back towards Arik and keep the tension going. And I was super frustrated with that because I thought that one of the great things about the love triangle in the books thus far was that it was very organic and that the guys were actually like becoming friends with each other and respecting each other and respecting each other's love for Evie, but at the same time being in competition and just organically creating a push-pull, whereas the events of the last book and then what happens in this book just created a really artificial situation, and that was such a letdown for me because of what I love about these books. So, not a fan of that. Pretty annoyed, actually. But, so here's the thing. I'm about to go into the spoiler portion of this video. So if you don't want to be spoiled, turn it off. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. Turn it off, hit the pause button, read the book, and then come back to me. Because I'm gonna get annoyed here. Here's the artificial portion, which is killing me. And it's that at the end of the book, Evie discovers that she is pregnant with Arik's kid. There are so many things wrong with this. The first is that when Arik and Evie go to have sex, she says that she's gotten a shot from Paul, the doctor at the castle at large, that is birth control. And she's very serious about this. She talks to Lark about it. She talks to Arik about it. And it's like a thing that happened. But towards the end of the book, you find out that Paul has no idea what she's talking about. And that, like, somehow, and Evie has been recognizing that she has gaps from her early memory because after her grandmother was arrested, her parents had took her to deprogramming in order to get what they thought was the crazy grandma speak out of Evie's head. So the fact that Evie has gaps in her memory from that portion of time makes sense. The fact that she randomly imagined that she got birth control and didn't makes no sense, and is clearly just a setup for her to be pregnant. Secondly, again, this is the spoiler portion, so Jack's not dead. Did anyone really think Jack was dead? I don't think so. But Jack, at some point in this book, makes the decision of being like, you know what? I think that she's actually better off with Arik, and I'm just gonna let her think that I'm dead. And Matt has other ideas. Towards the end of the book, Matt kind of reveals to Evie that Jack is still alive, and Evie's like, oh my god, and then comes the pregnancy reveal. So, I mean, obviously, if she carries Arik's baby to term, she's latched to Arik for that, and has to choose him for that, and it takes any agency Evie has in the choice kind of out. And also, this baby is muting Evie's powers, so not only is her agency in the which boy do I choose portion being removed, her ability to be one of the strongest Arcana characters on the field shot. Because she's having a baby. I have to assume that there will be some kind of accelerated birth thing here, because is the next book gonna skip to 9 months ahead? I don't know. But YA books and pregnancy, for some reason, can barely ever get along, unless that they are books that specifically deal with teenage pregnancy, in which case there are many, many fabulous, thoughtful examples of that. However, I really hate when teenage pregnancy is thrown into a book to create artificial tension and just kind of like heighten the stakes, but also like take away any power that that female character has in the situation that she's in. And I mean, it's not just, I'm not just talking about this book in general, there are others, but it's a pet peeve of mine, and I hate when it happens. And I probably shouldn't throw Kresley Cole under the bus for this quite yet, because I don't know how it's going to be dealt with in the next book. So I totally understand that. But at the same time, it's a pet peeve of mine. And just like that whole ending kind of train wrecking like that is probably what made me the saddest about this book, because I'm not sure how interested I really am in reading the next book. I mean, I will, because I've made this video now and I've made my opinions clear, and I want to be able to have a chance to recant and say, never mind, like, I was just really worried and Kresley Cole did it wonderfully. I'm just not optimistic. So, I don't know. The ending really, really took the wind out of my sails, for sure, which is really sad. If you've read this book or have thoughts about pregnancy and YA, specifically YA fantasy, where it's dealt with in a really weird way or used as a plot device instead of an actual serious issue to be addressed, please talk to me down in the comments. Just like, you know, put spoiler warnings on top, or message me in a different way so that we don't ruin that surprise for anyone who hasn't read the book. Otherwise, talk to me about thoughts about the book, thoughts about this love triangle. Just, you know, hit me up. Again, if you're going to use spoilers, please warn at the top of your posts. But I'm really interested to see what other people thought. So, thanks guys. Bye!